Welcome to Season 2 of Pod Practice, where Mama Bird alumni Quinn Feiner, Mikey Lund, and myself, Alex Atkins, talk about Ultimate from the perspective of players and coaches. We want to engage with you, so please reach out, say hi, ask a question, give some feedback. We look forward to talking with you. To reach out, follow us on Instagram or YouTube at podpractice_pod. Listen on Spotify at Pod Practice, or email us at show@podpracticepod.com. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Today's episode is very visual. For the best experience, we recommend that you watch the video version. Hope you enjoy. Okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
Kins, you were on a texting tirade this morning. Were you actually going to follow up on any of those action items, or
Texting tirade.
Well, now you're muted. I lost your audio.
I do
Turn my mic off.
when Kins gets on texting tirades. It's like he gets in this, because Mikey, when you said that, I literally said to myself in my head this afternoon, I'm like, Kins is in one of those moods. He's in one of those moods, and my phone is vibrating nonstop, and it's all three words from Kins back to 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 back. And it's like, I'm gonna do this, this, and then none of it ever
What are we
happens.
talking about? we were on 3 to 6 different topics all at once.
No, just 2, really. The college, I think we should do a college nationals like
Preview.
Europe. I think that
Yeah.
would be fun. I was thinking is it'd be fun to just like build like storylines of like some players and teams. So just like find out, quick 30-minute interview, find out about the player, give some people a reason to watch their game, maybe, you know.
Is Smumberg going to be a 1 seed if we win regionals?
Yes,
Because
Yeah,
we're still ranked top 4, right?
somehow.
Yeah, I don't believe the Bravo scrimmages affect ranking.
Good thing,
So we should
dude.
still be up
Good thing.
there.
I think they might have fallen out of the top 25
Tell
if
us,
that affected
tell
it.
the listener. I was not able to attend. I was going to. Oh, let me show you guys something.
Okay.
Not very hyped for the average person, but my Grandmasters men's division champion 2023 plaque is in
Damn.
my hand, so I'll add it to the Bravo one, which sits up
You
there.
just get that?
I did, because I went to my first. What team is this again? Well, Johnny Walker.
What
Practice last night, and that's why I was not able to go to the Bravo Bird scrimmage.
But yeah, we do Bravo and like Bird. Well, it's like Bravo and Summit at this point. Whoever we can get out. Scrimmages every year before nationals. We generally do a couple. And I tell you what, Bravo fucking kicked their ass last night with like 13 dudes, and
That makes me so
like,
happy.
I would say 4 of the people aren't even Bravo players; they're Summit players. Like, we kicked their shit, dude. It was pretty funny, actually.
What happened? Were you guys getting blocks, or were they turning it over?
They can't
A
hold.
little bit of both, I would
That's what Omar
say.
said.
I mean, a little bit of both. We were cooking, man. We were cooking.
I only got the Omar perspective, so I feel like it's a little biased.
The Senman perspective is always,
What did Omar say?
regardless of which Senman you're talking to, it's always a little difficult to know.
The thing Omar said that the O for Bird played bad. He said
Well, the
that
O played bad too, but the D didn't break us until we'd been playing for an hour and 45 minutes.
But what was the Bravo O turning it over, or no?
We were
Like, would they turn it over and then they wouldn't be able to score?
Yes, but we would turn it over. It was pretty windy for like the first half, I would say. So we turned it over a couple of times.
Okay.
But they literally didn't break us until it was like 15-6 or something.
I never want Bird to beat while I'm around to be Bravo again. So that could be like my.
TK was
Right.
mad at me because I was just ripping them up, dude. Just absolutely. He said my backhand. I threw a couple backhands that looked like Joe White, so I'll take it.
Like around
Insides. I had maybe the coolest.
You've been throwing those.
I had maybe the
a lot
coolest inside
recently.
backhand break of my life last night. It was pretty insane. You'll have to ask TK about it.
Did Felix guard you at all?
No,
The noodle?
I got mostly Artie and Cal.
Oh, come on. We got to get the
I know.
noodle on the meatball matchup.
But I tell you what, I got Artie really good on a. We kept running this play, on offense. It's basically just like a reverse zipper, and the 4 cuts under the break side and then just goes deep, and it tries to get the guy to bait on it. And Kuhlman ran it first. We scored in one throw, and then we came back in the field, and Nut looked at me and went, "Should we run it again till they stop it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And Artie came down on me, and I got him so good. Like, it was clap, catch, goal. Artie was like not even within 10 yards.
Oh my! And Artie's fast.
And Artie's fast.
These
Artie's
fucking
faster than
kids,
me.
man.
Like,
This segues well because the plan today is to go over some actions that are pretty typical in today's game, especially in the club scene, college too, UFA, I suppose, but yeah, UFA as well. And it's funny that you mentioned Nut saying, should we do this again? Because we're kind of going off the mind the game model here. We thought it would be cool last week to do something similar to what JJ does at the beginning of those pods. We weren't planning to talk about this specific stuff, but I could draw it. Should I? Was it out of a vert?
yeah, draw it
it
it's
up,
a
man.
vert.
So
Put the
Just
5
let me
in
get my
the,
pen.
put the 4 and the 5 on an island, but mostly the 4.
on an island.
Yeah, with like some palm trees and
Yeah.
some sand.
Well, I should draw,
Draw
the whole
that real quick.
stack, right?
Yeah, draw the stack. Yeah,
I don't know if I left myself enough room. But this is my
Draw the
first one.
stack, but put them on an island.
palm
Okay,
tree.
little island here with
Nice.
that kind of looks like a
Yeah,
well,
Mikey,
it's
that's really
something.
good actually.
I don't know.
Perfect.
You made it worse.
No,
yeah,
actually,
it was better.
actually, it's pretty good.
It still looks good.
Grower force doesn't really matter.
Force does matter.
Force does matter.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we go because you're running to the break side.
Mhm.
We'll say, and then the reset's off screen. Well, anyway, so we got the island cutter. This
Yeah.
is what you're describing,
Yep, that's it. I mean, it's basically,
and he's coming under.
and
at
then
the
he
same-
comes under opposite. Yeah, after, and then the 3 can fill it to the back to the break side if we don't hit either of those. He can fill, and then the 4 that was supposed to get it deep can button hook for the 3 if we get it to the 3. Yeah, exactly. But kind of key for the 4 is to like vary your speed, so you can start really fast and beat him out of the gate, and then slow down and let him catch you a little bit to make him feel like, oh, I'm gonna blow this under up, and then you just punch and go, and that's kind of what it is. Because you feel from the 4, you almost feel like a fake sense of security because you're like, oh, this is the 4. I might have help deep here, and you don't.
So what you're describing here is on this under, you don't have to. You're saying take that slower.
It'll be from the 4, but yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
like
you're right.
I think start fast so you get separation early. But then if you slow up a little bit, your defender is like, oh, I can catch this. I can catch up to this. I can blow this up. And as soon as they do that,
dash
they
means slow.
accelerate to blow it up. You go deep, and they're cooked.
Yeah, I like that. I like this a lot. It's you talking about nuances and cutting in general. Changing
Mhm.
speeds is important. I don't know if it's 100% true, but a lot of times what I like to tell people is it's better. It's almost better to go from 10% to 70% speed than 80% to 90% speed. It's like that. The change of pace is often what confuses defenders.
Yeah, because I mean, let's say you run this break side cut full speed the whole way, and you just beat him the entire way. He's gonna be on top of you. So when you punch to go deep, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I was already beat under. I'm not trying to catch up to this. I'm already beat." And then he's just on top of you, and you can't get open deep.
Yeah.
So you have to give them that like false sense that like I'm gonna undercut this on the inside and blow this up, and then they're absolutely fried.
You know what makes me sad about this is like I feel like it's so easy to bracket a damn vert and like not allow for these types of plays to work
Yeah, let's talk
out of
about
a
some of this
vertical
stuff.
stack. It just always has bummed me out here because I feel like.
So I think that is true. There's like we can overload defenders for sure. Let's talk about that from a vert really quick, and then we can maybe. I think we're going to talk about the twist in a vert. I'll draw them a little bit higher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to what typically, like you might see, a triangle around it. Is this what you're describing? You know, we have that.
Well, I would put the 2 guy more like in the middle. In the middle of the stack. Yeah, because he can kind of go either way. He's like,
here.
you know, ready to go either way. Kind of depends what the force is, I suppose.
So typical, like the easiest way to beat this. Well, not the easiest, the simplest, I should say. It's not always. That doesn't mean it's the most effective, but it's just to overload one side, right? Especially if one defender is responsible for all of that.
Yeah, but you never have one defender responsible for all that. You always have 2 defenders responsible for it.
Right, but that more moving parts, right?
Yeah, like out of if it was like maybe, you know, not a vertical stack, then I think the 2-person flood works super well. But out of like these pool play vert stacks, like I mean, if your 2-person flood is working, it has to be a little more dynamic.
So let's talk about maybe simpler, like we could talk about ways to beat that all day. Like we like that direwolf set, which we're not going to talk about today. It does.
We can't give direwolf to the people. That's got to stay.
I mean, it's just
that play is unstoppable, dude.
Yeah, but even if you know what
you still can't stop it if you know it's coming.
Well, if you were set up to stop direwolf, you're giving away something else.
Everything.
Yeah. And also like you better hope it's not windy for direwolf, you know, because
I will say we did try to run that play we were describing earlier for a 3rd time, and they finally got us on the 3rd time. Cal just let me go under and didn't guard me under. I was like, okay,
but were
you
you
got
open?
No, we got a free under to someone else, but not to me because I still went deep.
I just wish they were able to. I don't know. Seems like such a basic thing.
Let's that's true. But let's focus on today. We'll focus on what's on the screen here.
I want to focus on shitting on us for not being able to bracket.
So you see a lot of teams today run a split stack, right? And honestly, teams run a twist out of a vert stack too. But we're talking about a twist right now. Does anybody want to describe for me, and I'll draw, or do you?
Just the motion of the play?
Yeah. Do you want me to set a force?
Nah, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter. I'll set
Play's going to be the same regardless. So we call this like a 32 twist because there's 3 on the left and 2 on the right, and reading left to right. The 2 are going to be the active cutters for the play, and the one in the stack, the guy closest to the handler or the disc, is gonna basically punch to the middle pretty horizontally. Yep, and then blast deep, vacating that kind of underspace for the 2 in the stack to attack. And he ideally is setting this cut up because he knows it's coming, so he's not just standing there waiting for that space to be vacated. He's maybe like drifting deep or drifting somewhere, doing something to kind of set it up, and he's attacking that under space to hopefully hit from the handler there.
So coming under, potentially getting this. This is probably the most typical outcome, right? If things are going well.
Yeah.
Can you guys see my text? Did you guys just see my text pop up on the screen there?
No.
Yeah, that's
good.
It's good news because then I don't have to edit that out later.
Perfect. Yeah, Yeah, so that's the first most likely outcome here. The deep cut and the slash cut from the one are both viable cuts, but generally not getting hit. A really good scenario, like secondary scenario for both of these, is we hit that guy on the under, and either the back of the stack on the left is going to fill because his guy helped off deep on the first cut.
So deep
Yeah,
to
that
kind
guy.
of here often
And then
helps.
we can blow by from there and get a big chunker.
Well, maybe I'll erase some of these lines here.
Mhm.
So let's say that this cutter is now vacated out of that space, and you're saying he's floating somewhere probably deeper of this, and we often see deep help off of here, and can get a fill from the back of the 3 side.
Yeah, and that's a relatively easy throw and catch for big gains.
Pretty common scenario that we see. We also see, sometimes that the 2 side can just isolate themselves and keep working. So like the person who cut into this space and deep might just be able to come back under, etc.
Or we'll be able to hit him deep
or just go deep. And sometimes, sometimes that original deep cutter, this guy in the lane, is just open for the shot right away. That's not typically what we see, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah.
A few gotchas. Actually, Ken's, anything to add before we talk about gotchas?
Gotchas? Well, I was just going to say, I was finding success with this when I was calling plays for Bird at Smoky, was like just running this, but to the side with 3 players. I find that like a lot of the time the timing with like the pull just like doesn't like feel right, like when to run it, like because I don't know how long this person with the centering pass should be like looking at this going on. So like,
yeah, different teams have different cadences for sure. Some look longer.
I would say this is kind of a looker. I think you can look at it for a bit.
So, yeah, but I just don't like looking at it. Like I'd rather it be happening quicker in the thing. So I like what we were doing is just having it run to the side with 3.
Does it swing or so? Go ahead.
So if the timing is perfect, like if the timing was exactly what you would want on the 2 side, then this underneath person would just clear horizontally. Like this person on the left in the 3. No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because we're running into the 3 side, so he'd clear horizontally. Just get out of the way, and like that could be a look. So that's like if it's going perfectly, he gets out of the way, and then you just run the twist the way everything you just described. Perfect. Sure. Boom. Done. And then if the timing's a little off, where like it's late or the pull was better, and like I think often we were doing this was like they would throw it, you would just throw it to that guy because maybe the defense isn't down yet, and like another thing that happens is like the defense isn't, if it's a good pull, the defense isn't all the way down yet, and then you're like running this motion, but like you're already kind of like open, so like you just throw it to the guy at the beginning because they're not down yet. You get the free like extra yards, and then
you throw to this guy right away?
Yeah, you just throw it to him right away, and then you run the twist.
Yeah. I like those variations for sure. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Quinn.
I was just saying I like it too.
You see different teams running different things, like out of a split. Let's erase some things. If truck, this is usually Rowan. Sometimes it's Ox. They hit the slash a lot, and sometimes you see Rowan plays this. I actually don't know. I tried to ask him when we talked to him if how much of it's conscious and ahead of time thinking, but you'll see him just turn this into a deep cut a lot from there, and maybe he curls back. Rowan to me is a very unique player because he's all over the field all the time, and it seems like he's playing so chaotically, but he fits very well into what they're trying to do all the time.
Yeah, people aren't really worried about Rowan deep too. I feel like he gets forced out
these days
all the time these days.
Yeah, so like if you see Rowan doing this, you maybe just expect him to come back. Cool. So this actually is similar to what Maddie wanted us to talk about, a fury twist. Anything more on this action before? Oh, I actually do have one more thing.
I've got a gotcha.
Sure. Can you
I
see
mean-
that Pinterest notification? It's funny that I have
Nope.
Pinterest on my iPad. Okay.
I
don't
like
know why it's
Pinterest,
funny.
man. I've
Yeah.
kind of gotten into Pinterest recently for like clothes and tattoos, but that's about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. What do you got for me?
I mean, it's kind of a different play, but you can run the twist double, just like washing machine.
Like
So
this.
yeah, exactly. And then we're hitting the one on. So that's definitely a looker. That takes extra time, and you have to look at it for longer. But when Jack and Ryan played together on Ring, they used to run this with those two like
It would just
all the time.
Yeah. Goat used to do that too. Toronto.
Yeah. So it's just
Um,
like hitting the third look instead of the first one.
You also see, a lot of teams run it out of this. But typically people call it more of a diamond than a twist, but it's the same thing. I would see like Pony used to do that a lot with Jimmy and Kocher. And then there's so many variations off of this, right? Like you can just send both of those guys deep and fill here. A million different variations. I do want to talk about just like one, rather than different ways you can run it. One thing that an issue we would see a lot is on these, when we get these free unders, it's usually very close to a sideline. A lot of the times, like when you in 2022, when it was like you and Will running this,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you would catch this one, and then Will, who was cutting deep, would come back under and get another one near the sideline, and then we have the disc on the sideline, which is not ideal. We've advanced the disc, but then we would find that we would be stuck there. So I think it's pretty important, like for this person to really push up and be looking to get it off the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, defenders will often buffer off and give that off the sideline throw pretty free most of the time. So like, does that make sense? Like after the guy on the sideline throws it up to the other guy on the sideline, the thrower's defender usually takes quite a few steps off and just basically gives it free, which is super nice.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, first, also this mark is often flat off the bat to just stop upfield stuff. And, as you're pushing up wide, maybe I'll make that a little bit wider, it's hard to guard someone in motion. So, like, you're concerned about not getting beat up line, so you probably will buffer more, which allows this person to just stop, essentially, and get it off the line. Okay. Anything else? Maybe we could take a step back and talk about why we're talking about, or what the goal of some of these actions are, and move into the fury, what we call fury.
Yeah, let's move into it. I mean, the thing about these for me is surprising how against bad teams they work like frustratingly well. Like you're like, why is this working? So it's such an obvious basic. It's like it always kind of struck me as surprising. And then against the good teams, like the top, the teams that are usually like contending to win championships, like how much better they are at making sure that this doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
At all.
That's why we don't want to be over reliant on these are, I think that's not true. I think 3 out of the 4 things we're going to talk about are pull plays, but 3v3 movement is not necessarily, that is not the case. But you're right that teams can be over reliant on these against the highest level of competition. So what we wrote down, like some of the main reasons we are running actions is just to set up motion, just get motion going, whether it works or not. isolating space, finding matchups you'd like, setting up continues in a structured way.
Yeah, I mean, like these plays, like in high level games, are you're basically never going to get the exact result that you want, which is like obviously catching the under in the twist, catching under, and then like throwing a huck goal. But it's like basically never going to happen in a high level game. Like it's more just to start the offense, get it in motion, connect it to the handlers, and then go from there.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't even think like against I think it just depends who you're playing, like what you should. I think against like bad teams that run like a brain dead like person defense, like you should run these, all day. And then once you like play a team that is better, you should probably figure out like more adaptive. Because I think the better teams, especially, I mean, I don't know, but if they're playing person, and unless they're like really heads up, like this just kind of I think works well. But if they're a little more like heads up and maybe slightly junky with like a handler sag to start the point,
like,
you just got to play a little more adaptive and like maybe you got some of that, and they're probably gonna like bracket the twist, like if the deep guy runs right at the other guy's defender. I think a sag. I think the good teams, most good teams like sag now off the handler to start. Like I don't see a good reason not to. They're trying to look it forward right away.
Yeah. We talk about not staring to play for those reasons, but one more scenario here with the twist is if they are bracketing. What do we like? What's a good way to counter that?
Button hook from the guy that just went deep.
Yeah. So typically, if we see this deeper defender trying to, pick up everybody going deep, the ways to beat brackets are usually just to overload one person, right? So if you curl back, ideally, or not ideally, this person typically is now responsible for two people.
I feel like that motion is such a necessity to being a high level player, like on offense, like,
and it's so simple too.
It's so simple, and you have to be able to
recognize it on the fly.
Yeah,
like if you're not recognizing that your defender has left you for another defender and are able to like, capitalize on that by, I guess, being aware of your surroundings and like changing direction now, like that.
Yeah, you gotta set it up well too.
Yeah,
like you can't. You have to push the deep guy. You have to push him a little bit deep. Like you have to make him think like I have to guard this.
Yeah, it's really about just like that timing point of like, if you can recognize like whatever they've done to call a switch, like that's when you change direction. You know, like as soon as they've been like, all right, we're gonna switch now, then that's when you go no.
And people usually like say point and like pass it off. And it's like pretty obvious.
Yeah, totally. It's always. I mean, it has to be. They have to communicate it, and like that's not even. Yeah, so. No, totally. And I just think that's so important. Like, I think that's like I actually saw like an Instagram reel that was like, what's your ultimate ick? Like, that's one of my ultimate icks is when you can't recognize that you're being
ultimate icks.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But like, you know what I mean? Like when you are getting poached and you don't realize, and that's one of mine. Cause like, damn. That sucks.
I've got one, and it relates to nothing that's worthwhile, but it's when people wear white cleats with black socks.
Ooh.
Ick.
I get made fun of on some streams I've had on the very few amount. How do I conjugate that? What are the words? On some of the streams that I've been actually on, which is not many, playing, Megan Liu, friend of the pod, Megan Liu, would always text me afterwards and be like, "Why are you wearing white socks with your black cleats?" She did not like the opposite.
See, I don't prefer that, but I think you can pull off black socks with white cleats. I don't think you can pull off white socks with cleats with black socks. That's unpull-offable. I don't care who you are. You could be the swaggiest person ever, and it's just dog shit.
Who is the swaggiest Frisbee
Who's the
player?
swaggiest Frisbee player? One person came to mind. I don't think he's the swaggiest, but he just wears the most gear, and it's Ethan Bloodworth.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about that.
I'm pretty sure they called him the Winter Soldier for a while.
Because he just had a sleeve.
Yeah, he just wears the gear, dude. That's a good question. I'll think about the swaggiest. If it's not me, I'll think about it.
I guess shout out Seth Ferris.
Seth's pretty drippy.
Leandro, pregame swag.
Lay. I think Lay is pretty drippy too. He doesn't play anymore though. He's in med school or whatever. So
he's not playing right now.
I don't know. He didn't play last year.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, man, I'm an idiot. Okay, let's talk about Fury. We call this Fury. A lot of teams have different names for it. The reason why I've called it Fury is because when I was with Madison Heist for a season in 2013, Georgia Bosher was on the team. Georgia, who's she's one of the best players of all time, and she played for Fury, I think, for 3 seasons, and during their 7-year reign of championships in a row. So I think she won 3 in a row. If I'm not mistaken. And Fury would run the set a lot. I mean, she brought it from Fury, and we called it. Teams run this action different ways, and you can combine it, with a twist, etc., which is what you were describing, Kins. But when we do it, it's usually just clearing someone from the backfield, and allowing space for someone to fill from the downfield. You see teams do this a lot, and then what is typically we see ring, not typically, but sometimes as a variation, we've seen them send this person deep and bring this person under. There's different ways to run it, but the main point is that we're clearing this space here.
Yeah, and it works because normally the person far away on the downfield defender is like helping off deep, and so as soon as you like clear that space underneath them, they can just take it. And this is one like similar to what I was talking about on the twist. I think on the twist, since I hadn't done it in a while, I got my words switched up. I initially said that it was because they got down there well, covered it well, and then I recanted, and what I meant to be is like when they're not down there fast enough and you actually have a free throw.
I think everybody knew what you're talking about.
Yeah, I said it the second time, but I said it wrong the first time. It's been a while. Coach Kins has been out of commission for a little.
And if he sounds nasally, it's because he's just had nose surgery. So, and
just had nose surgery, and I've got some rods in my nose that I'm about to get out. Pretty excited about it, but similar to that twist play, what we would do here was I just kind of like having plays with options. Like it just feels a little more flexible and fun for me. So like if, like we said, a lot of teams have a handler sag. So if they're sagging or if they're not down quick enough again after this first initial centering pass, just throw it to that guy. And then you can just run, you just run a fucking twist, like from a horizontal set, like it's always a fucking twist. Like have that guy come under and across, and there you go. Boom, bang, biggity. And that under and across look is a great look, like a slash and cut to the middle.
Boom, bang, biggity.
Boom, bang, biggity. And, I really like you were talking about the slash and cuts. I think like slash and cuts are meta. They should be. Like they're fucking.
They're so hard to guard, dude. You're just running at full speed, just like 30 yards across the field. Like nobody can guard that. And
sometimes I think we do too much where like we'll have, these slashing cuts are like the decoy setup cut. And I think more often they should be
the main look.
Right, like the main look. And then if you don't hit it, okay, then we'll figure something else out. But like I just think these slashing cuts are so impossible to stop, like, especially in the middle of the field. But and then, they really are better. Like, I think a lot of the thing too is like a lot of teams kind of like being on like a third of the sideline, like not all the way on the sideline, but like a little bit. And that way it's easier to make these like out and under cuts and they make more sense. But like I think theoretically you'd like to be at the middle of the field because you're farthest away from the sideline, but it's hard to make the space for those out and undercuts in the middle because it's like, where do we put everyone else? If we just push them all the way to the sideline, then they're too obviously not threats that like they don't have to be respected. And so like these slashing cuts are just a great way of running offense from the middle of the field. And so I think like we could utilize them more. I think like teams should utilize them more, just like getting more of these slashing cuts from the middle of the field. And I'm thinking about it, like a lot of people are attacking like sides, and this is like kind of like the beautiful thing about like a host stack is like you're attacking more like these underneath space and the deep space almost in like levels. So
I think that's, the best offense last year did it all the time in truck. Like they did it constantly. But something to like note about these slashing cuts too is like if it's to the break side, Mikey, will you draw a slash cut to the break side?
Yeah. I'll just change the mark.
Brilliant.
So that throw to that guy is pretty easy because it's basically an open side throw because you don't need to actually break the mark for the disc to end up on the break side. So when you throw this straight like that,
straight up field,
the receiver catches it, and their momentum takes them to the break side. Like it's going to take them 3, 4, 5 steps to slow down, and they're going to end up probably in line with like the 3 in the H stack. Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to break the mark to get the disc to the break side with these throws.
And one more for you. Like imagine this guy goes deep too. Holy shit, that's not even a hard throw.
Holy
like,
shit, man.
It's
open
a free
side
goal. That's an open side throw. Like
it's that Buzz Bullets clip that you posted, Mikey.
Yeah,
like, it's
I
a
fucking love this
goal.
shit. I love lateral cuts.
Oh, don't get Mikey going.
He's saying that when the slash catches it there, the 3 can just basically just take off straight deep, and
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying based on like saying based off of that guy.
Sure.
If he goes deep, because it's just another
true.
option for the cut. Like if he makes that slash, doesn't get it, and then just goes because if he's cutting to the break side, it's just the open side.
You want that back?
Lost it, yeah. So what I was saying is if the 3 goes deep like he is diagrammed here, if you imagine where the 3's defender would be setting up well right now, he's going to be under into the open side, other side.
Oops.
He's going to be there, right? Maybe not that buffered, but he's going to be there guarding.
No, totally.
So, like, if that guy just takes off deep, like, the receiver can literally put it anywhere, and it's going to be a completion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any shape.
Four's defender better be over there, that motherfucker, to help out.
But even if he does, man, like, it's just, yeah.
So let me emphasize, though, that what you're talking about just with the lateral cuts, and it's not even just towards the break space. Whoops. Let's undo that. In fact, I may not even need all of this, but I'll erase this stuff. Like the difference between catching like a straight under versus something that's more like this, that turns into a lateral movement, is if you cut straight under and then your mark comes down on you, that person can just set it flat very easily. But if you're leading to space where they have to contain something, then you're putting them in a situation where they have to work harder to contain, and therefore are gonna have to give something up. Like their momentum is gonna carry them in such a way that they have to overplay something, and there's so many built-in like down chain counter effects off of that.
It's very difficult, and I think offensively teams should move towards looking at this more instead of just the like under and out cuts that you see very typically. Like I just think these are really a little.
I remember the first
dynamic.
time I ever learned a version of a horizontal stack. I was in college. I was like I played at Iowa State. I was picking up with Winona State. I had like a bunch of friends who went to Winona State, and the way that they were teaching it back then was, I'm getting a call from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Speaking of my old Iowa
Could be a
days.
Winonian.
They were basically it's just
Winonin.
like stay in your lanes, like your vertical lanes. Just cut up and down your lanes, and that is
Oh yeah,
like
that's
so
good
bad.
offense.
So
That's
bad.
good.
yeah. If you don't
Like-
change the planes, then yeah, it becomes
That's like
looks
the principle of my good offense.
It's like
Yeah,
is
like
pistons.
that.
It's like pistons. That's what everybody always used to say.
yeah. Like don't move much. Is like
Yeah.
my is a good idea.
okay.
Be predictable.
I have vert twist written down. Let's talk about that because actually, were there any final comments on just the few reactions?
I mean, like the result is similar, right? We're getting it to that guy at the 1 in the dump space, and then it's the
Yeah.
2's lane. And if we get help off on the deep shot from the 2, then the 3 can flash across, get it. It's the same, right? It's the play ends up being the same. It just starts different.
Such a funny thing about a lot of set plays you see today is that they really do go towards one side of the field, which is sort of silly, right? Because we always talk about keep the disc in the middle of the field. But anyway, okay, let's just we talked about the twist, and I think the most classic vert stack play is actually a version of a twist. I don't know if people ever called it that, but and then we'll talk about the variation off of that.
I mean, they're
So-
all twists because like you're all threatening one area and then you're countering
Yeah.
that threat to go to the other area.
Yeah, it's like it's a deep cut that is hoping to draw deep help to open up and under for somebody else. And
For sure.
the first play that I probably ever learned was this.
It's beautiful.
Which I've called different. I think at one team I played on called it golden because it's like the golden play or something. I don't
It's funny.
remember.
It's still viable in like the highest levels of club too. Like it's still a good play.
For sure. I think one issue with it is just this is a really long developing cut.
Yeah.
A lot of times, some teams would say just go right away underneath. Some teams that I play on would be like wait for him to clear and draw the deep help. Which that talk about a looker, like you're looking at that for 2.5, 3 seconds to see if that person gets deep. At least,
Talk about a looker.
yeah. So you see Pony though, like they ran this a lot. And actually, Jimmy, when he played for Bravo, they would run it a lot too. Nick Lance would start at this spot a lot. And because of kind of what you were describing, Quinn, earlier with the set you guys were running with Bird, is these defenders will sell out so hard on this deep cut that you can turn this into a curl pretty easily. It was so like if you watch some Pony film when Jimmy's running this, it's so obvious he's going to come back, but just nobody could stop him. He's such a big body.
Big body. He's a looker.
He's talk
He's a
about
looker.
a looker.
And I think so. Kind of on this note, you see a lot of option cuts off of like in a horizontal where there's like a clear play, like a flood play. But a lot of these sets, these actions, when they're done well, like I think Kinsey, you were touching those, should have options.
Yeah.
And this a lot of times it's a simple option where it's just one cutter who has a simple read. Like I guess
Options are great, man. Like that's one place I wouldn't want to be in life is a place without options. I like options.
right. So like another for instance, actually let's I think the way Brown ran this against us, which tournament was I can't remember which one it was, but Jacques was running from this spot a lot, this 4 spot. I feel like Ben Laurie may have done this a lot too. Some sort of clear, like maybe these 2 cutters clear in the discs here, and Jacques would just run laterally. But he has the option of going deep or under, and he can angle these however he wants. But
We run that too.
yeah,
Nut loves this play.
the amount of times that Jacques beat us deep at that tournament, Kins, were you still in school? Do you remember this? Yeah, you may not have been.
I don't remember Jacques beating us deep. So no.
Yeah, it was probably after you were done. It was so frustrating
It's probably
because
Smokey
he's
the
supposed to be
year
the
after
thrower.
me.
I think you're right. It was on the turf side of the Smoky Fields. Okay. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about 3v3 action here and talking about that lateral movement and counters off of it, and then
Why does it say we have someone in our audience?
where does it say that?
Matty J.
It's in the top right. It says 3 and then 1 in audience. Do you see that?
Who's
Go to people.
watching us? I wonder if
who's
it is.
watching? Is
Maybe
it
it is
Maddie?
Maddie. Maybe it is just Maddie. Let me turn
It
my
has.
mouse.
It has to be. Nobody else has the link, right?
Honestly, a lot of people have the link, but I have to I have to let you in.
That's a good point.
Because I've never changed the link, and I included it in
Yeah,
all our
every visit,
invites.
every guest has the link.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have to go into a ton of detail on 3v3 stuff. I think one reason why, one thing, it is my favorite thing, and two, Bob actually had us doing this at Walker practice a little bit last night, so it's on my mind.
Is Bob player coaching you guys?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's like a committee of captains.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get to that age, you got a bunch of coaches.
Get me out there. I'll coach.
Please, I think the year that I played Encore and we won in 2017, I think Jimmy was listed as our coach, like on the USA Ultimate website. Okay, so talk about 3v3 stuff. Talk about. Should I draw this defender playing inside leverage or
Whatever you want, man.
yeah? Well, I'll put them right underneath it. But it matters, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh, we're going. Okay, I see. Sorry.
Going this way.
Yeah.
Disc is here. Does anybody want to walk me through this and goals, or do you want actually tell me what toes goes is? Tell me what Tad Bad is. Why do people say it, and why is it effective?
Well, I think first it's all about like the threats, counter threats, or flow, counter flow. Like you create a threat. It's like all the decision tree. You create a threat, you hit the threat. If you don't hit the threat, you need to like counter that with another threat, and that's your next thing. And so it's all about like creating the threat. You either hit it or you don't. If you don't hit it, you got to go to your next look and start creating new ones. So like this, I think like it gets simpler in end zone because you do like in less people and smaller space, but we could just walk through like a couple normal scenarios.
How about walk me through a toes goes scenario?
Okay, let's walk through a toes goes scenario. Let's
Do you want me to move
Should
anybody
we
around?
explain what toes goes is first?
right. So yeah, toes goes is simply wait, what is it?
Throw. Open. Side.
Throw open side, go open side. Well, I was thinking of throw and go. I forgot throw open side, go open side. Because I don't really align with that now anyway.
Yeah,
but.
we can touch on that in a second. But
And it's like what? We took that from like North Carolina. I'm not a part of that bullshit.
No,
You can't
that's been around
brainwash
forever.
me.
Yeah, I know that's been around.
Yeah,
Anyway, not when I was growing up. We just
Philly, you know.
we just fucking ran after we threw it. We had Denny leading the way.
That's true.
Denny
All right, so
invented
let's
it.
imagine.
You don't even move anybody here.
Yeah. Let's imagine. We look reset first.
Okay.
I
So out of this
let's say
structure?
you couldn't. Yeah, like you can't get you're on the sideline. You couldn't get anything. Okay, we go reset first. Okay.
Do you want me to just throw it to him?
Sure, throw it to him. That's great. He's open. All right. So like now, who's like in the most threatening position to make a cut? And the reason I think like the throws goes makes a lot of sense is if you look at the person who just threw it, their mark is like on top of them on the
We'll
left
even
side.
say it's even more drastic sometimes.
Yeah, that helps visually for sure. Maybe they just faked it around, whatever. So they throw it. if you're looking at the two people on the screen for who's going to attack that space, right, it's
okay.
definitely the thrower. No, yeah. I mean, you're just leading it off, so it's definitely the thrower. So he goes.
We'll even go. Let's take it because traditional defense, right? I mean, not many club teams are playing this side, but force forehand, you play on the forehand side. So there's a reason. Just another reason why this person has an advantage. He has a step,
and it's easier for them to like orbit and stuff, where like the mark like has to wait and when they throw it, like you have that split second advantage almost no matter what. Because like if the mark was cheating, like then you're just throwing a break side, like you're it's just so yeah. So you they go, and then like right now this is when you have a threat created, and it's all about like, okay, are you gonna hit this threat? That threat being like the initial give go right away. So like, are we throwing it back to this person? That would be cool, or not. So like one of the decisions is like, yes, we hit it. Okay, great. Now someone has to attack the space in front of that guy.
Okay,
So
I'll redraw that then. So the disc is now over there. Mark's here.
Alice is dreaming.
I love that.
he's
I love when
sleeping?
dogs.
Oh, that's
I
the
love when
cutest
dogs
shit ever,
dream.
dude.
So it's. Oh, he's got the dream chirps too. I love.
Dude. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty cute.
Atlas, my boy.
Damn.
Okay.
All right.
So basically, you're in the same situation, right? The you have the advantage to go up inside. Our spacing's a little weird now. You probably do want to change the shape of how you attack the open side based on, are you even, negative, or positive of the disc? But that detail is not what we're talking about today. So you throw open side, you go open side again.
Right. And then like in a perfect fucking world, you just throw it open side, go open side all the way into the fucking end zone. Like that's like great. We did it. And then it's like, as soon as you have to look off one of those looks, then you just fill that with a counter threat. So like, let's say he goes, and then usually like, now he's out of the space, so you counter it to that one. I mean, I think it's really just getting like, I think, Nut is a really good teacher of this. And I think what's really important is like not rushing if you're out of position. Like if you're out of position, like find this setup so that you can start creating. I mean, honestly, if it's not even this setup, if you have another setup, maybe that works good for you. But
really
it's just
matter.
Has to be a setup where you can create threats. So it's like you don't have to pigeonhole anybody into a setup, but like get to a setup where you can threaten multiple things. Like the reason the one in the middle of the field is great is because he can go either way, and the dump can attack also multiple ways. And so like this is a good setup that works for a lot of people.
Yeah, if you bring up Nut again, like the way he really likes to talk about this is the person isolated at the front, their main job is usually continues out the break to the break side. Some teams do like to allow this person to slush to the open side a lot more.
Yeah. Well, and I think like what you're saying, and it reminds me of watching a lot of the college kids, is like a big problem you see here is like that one just overcutting. And not only are they overcutting and then you're just doing too much and maybe you can't get open, but two, that like when you overcut,
maybe go on here.
When the dump, like let's say they throw a Pepe at the dump. So let's say like,
Okay, so he worked hard to get over
let's
here.
Say he overcut, he worked over there. And now he's not in position to immediately threaten that break side space.
Because now he's over here.
Right. And maybe his defender is kind of good, so he knows he can like doesn't have to be on that side of him anymore. Maybe he's like more on the middle of the field side of him. So there's just like lots of problems. So it's like you should just be looking to counter or continue threats like really aggressively from that one. And like it's all about being in a good position to be able to do that, where your defender has to respect multiple different threats. And like once you're getting out of those positions, like that's where you're really fucking yourself.
Yeah,
you just see a lot of people like there's just like there's this like chaotic rhythm, and when you watch like some good players do this, like there's just like this nice obvious rhythm. It's
you
like
watch Nut.
And it's like, even if, I think this is the thing where it's like, yeah, like I could definitely think of some satisfying points where like Quinn and I have done this, where it's just like, it doesn't really matter if the other team,
knows what
like
you're
they
gonna
can
do.
know, like it, yeah,
It's-
right. Like we could, because Quinn Nutt and I can defend this. We know what they want to do. If they're running it well, you might not
You-
be able to stop
you-
it because
You're fucked.
You can't guard 40 yards of space.
You're fucked,
like maybe you'll find some times where you
53 and a
can,
third,
you know,
whatever
like
it
maybe
is.
you'll find some situations where you could like apply a little more pressure because they've,
Oops.
made small mistakes. But the point is, like, if you do it correctly and you just understand like what threats you want to create, which are usually like those give go threats to a counter to the break side, if you're not hitting it in the give go, like that's really, what you're looking to do. And I think like getting that rhythm down is so important to being a good offensive player.
Yeah. In fact, if I could, I'll touch on just a couple of those nuances you were talking about, and maybe we'll talk about tab bad and run through a couple others. Maybe we'll see how we go on time. But
It would be sick if we had like a clip. Like this is where it'd be great if we had like a clip, one time in the future. In the future, we'll do it.
I'm sure we have a ton of these saved, but
I think we got a good one in the pod lights revolver game.
oh, do
It's
we?
like, it's like me bucking Nut.
Oh yeah, and we fucking turn it right.
I
at
think
the-
we
'cause-
turn. I don't
Seth-
think it turns
Well,
though
Seth comes in from the back
from
of
the
the
back
stack.
too far. Yeah, but I think that goes back for some reason. I think there's a call on it. But yeah, we do.
No, that,
turn.
that
No,
one,
that was a
one-
turn.
That was a turn.
It was a turn.
I remember
Yeah,
Oh,
being
because
shit.
that
pretty-
was the one
I
where
remember
they
being
shot
pissed.
to Mike.
Not like
Yeah,
I understand why Seth took that space. Revolver was bracketing. They were playing junk, but I think we just got impatient. We just needed to let them.
yeah.
let you guys work.
That's the good point too, though. Like the way to beat a bracket in end zone is not to like involve more people.
Maybe bring more people out of the ends. Yeah. Anyway, that's
Right?
different
Yeah.
topic. But
Yeah.
I love what your head's at. If we have film examples, we will try to post them. It's unlikely before this episode gets released, but
In the future, we'll add.
I mean, I can pull up that pod lights
please
real
do.
quick.
So not typically, oftentimes this motion happens where the reset goes behind the disc. Every team runs this cut. And like Kins was talking about, the ISO person, whoever it is, the front of the stack, is out of position. The reason why we want to attack from structure is so we know that this option is going to be there. And we want to really emphasize, especially the way Nut likes to teach it, is work the break side of the field. Like find ways to get it over there. A lot of the times, though, like people will make this cut for this original thrower and then be like positioned way over here in this space, in the break space already. So one thing that Nut, again, does really well is and teaches well is if you make this, you can make this cut for the original thrower, but as soon as you realize you're not getting it, reposition, or maybe cycle out. Other teams will do it differently, but you don't have to be like. I think that's when you were talking about Mama Bird. What they do is when it's obvious they're not going to get open, they just continue to make the cut instead of especially in this scenario, it's the spacing is so important. We ran this set last night actually as a pattern at Walker practice. And then we would run. Let me remove some lines here. So we were hitting that first dump cut behind the disc. And then we were hitting, we were not able to get the around off. So you would run that toes goes movement back this way. Is this confusing with all my lines at this point? Probably.
I don't know. I'm watching pod lights. I stopped paying attention.
That's okay. That's okay.
I found it though.
So we will say the disc now is
Quinn and half of our viewers should just
yeah. We can make another clip of me just talking incessantly. But let's just talk about this toes goes movement. The timing of this fill is also nuanced. Like some people like for that fill cut to wait for the person to clear and the toes goes movement. I personally, especially if we're near this trap sideline, I want this to come super early because I don't even want to look at this, and I can look back at this if I need to. I just want to get it over here.
Uh-huh.
So long story short is like the timing of fills. I prefer counter movement over. I want to counter all day to the break side, especially if it's the break side. I don't really care as much about countering to the trap side, but that's generally my mindset.
We kind of think about it like we use the analogy of like a rubber band. Like once there's a rubber band on one sideline, there's no like once it stretches all the way to the sideline,
it's another good nudism.
It should probably snap back to the other sideline. We
And
should
what's
probably
nice about a
stop
good-
stretching it that way, snap it back to the
It's
other
like
one.
if the rubber band is attached to this break sideline, it gets stretched out all the way over here and snaps back.
It should snap back.
And what's nice about a good counter is like usually the initial threat, while still a good option, is the one that the defense is more prepared for. Whereas like if you look off that give go open side throw and hit that counter break, like that's where the defense is out of position. They weren't as ready for it. And you can see like bigger chunks after that because it's, a little more surprising. It can be a little more of a knockout blow.
Yeah, that's a good
which
point.
is nice.
So if the disc goes here is what you're saying, it doesn't really matter. But if we're attacking, if all eyes are over here and the defense is now committing hard over here, there's just going to be space to attack.
Yeah.
Beautiful lines here if you're watching, which if you're not watching this episode, it's probably going to be very confusing. I guess
Get fucked.
quickly, one other thing about toes goes, and then Tad Bad, and then we'll call it a day. We got a few chats in here. Am I supposed to open those links?
You don't have to. I'm down to just be on toes goes.
Okay, no Tad Bad.
Yeah, just the toes goes there.
Okay, just in general, are you saying for right now for what we're talking about, or are you talking about in life?
I was saying for right now. I also in life think. Well, I think any absolute is kind of. It's a good
rule of thumb.
It's a good rule. All right, we're talking about it. We're talking Tad Bad.
We're talking about it.
So Tad Bad is throw a dump, be a dump. To me, it's like throw a dump and don't fucking abandon. Because the point is, if you throw a dump, you don't have a dump anymore. So if you throw a dump, you can't jog upfield like an asshole because you're going to leave the person with the disc with no reset. So like the big thing is like throw a dump, stay engaged for me. Like if you don't actually go back into a reset position, that's fine. But like you have to stay engaged. You can't quit on the person with the disc.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with that, and we'll rely on you guys as we teach this stuff to our teams for a lot of reasons.
Can't teach aggression.
One reason is I want to say aggressive, right? Like if we run this dump cut, this reset cut, and get the disc here.
A Pepe, like you do a Pepe cut, which is a 45 back
that's what we
horizontal
call
cut
Pepe,
to the break side.
And this person just immediately retreats to that, negative 45. That's the default way we teach it. But there's a lot of reasons why you can stay aggressive.
Right, I think that's lame. I think you should just like stay around where you are, maybe float a little bit backwards, and then just like re-engage. Yeah, maybe a little negative, whatever, and then re-engage. Boom, bang, biggity.
I agree I love that. This is again my favorite motion. So if this Pepe's cut happened, this dump cut, and now you're floating in space here, it just puts your defender in a compromising situation. Like a lot of teams, if he's playing inside leverage, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can still threaten this immediate skinny space. Maybe he's playing off of you, and you can just. Sorry, let me remove some lines here. A lot of the times, oops, I just removed everything. Right, like it's funny, like when we talked to TK and Spicer, right, about a lot of these things, they're like, well, we just guard it this way. And yes, that's true, but a lot, not teams just don't play perfect defense 100% of the time.
Well, yeah, and you do
I hate
just
when TK and
no,
Spice
it's
always
good.
say
It
that.
just
That
furthers
drives me crazy. I fucking hate that, dude.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
But a lot of times, you throw this dump cut, whatever, and your defender's just loose. Like, if your defender's loose, then yeah, just we got a free advancing throw. Might as well take it. But if you immediately retreat and become a dump, then you never have that option to begin with. Okay, I remember one more thing that I wanted to mention. Oh, okay, yeah. I was about to draw. I have so many scenarios in my head.
I also can't wait to get a message from TK about us talking shit about him and Cody saying, well, we would just defend it this way. I cannot wait.
Cody could. That's the thing, is like he probably would execute it well 90%.
Spice, come out of retirement, guard me, I dare you.
So a lot of times, like on a sideline, if the disc is here on the trap sideline, going there, and we swing it off the sideline to this person, I guess I'll ask you guys, what is this person's first look typically? He's swinging super far off the sideline. But let's say he's
a trap. Is that a trap force?
It was originally a trap force. It's force forehand. We swing it off the trap sideline.
Momentum.
Well, momentum. So usually he's looking to someone else. Like we never think 2-man game here. We never think give go motion here towards the break side. But I actually think that we should more often. I'm not saying all the time, but there are so many players who catch the disc in this spot that like a lot of times it's with like negative momentum too. There's all sorts of reasons, but like let's say this person who's catching the swing is mediocre thrower A, whatever, and like this person, let's say this is Kins, and when we're running end zone sets, we like to disc in Kins' hands for a lot of reasons. So I think there's a ton of benefit to just have Kins run off of this. Like if you just run and then get this, what we call Pepe's in momentum, then you create all of this action from like a wider distance where defense is having to respect more things and is overplaying. Another benefit is not another benefit, but another way that you can attack this is like the buzz bullets do. Gosh, I'm a wordy guy, and I just need to shut up sometimes. But it almost doesn't matter. Like you catch this laterally, the swing goes laterally. This person shouldn't always have to attack negative. If you want to, why not just attack positive? But teams,
I fucking agree. No, that's what we used to do on patrol. We loved that cut. We freaking loved it. And you're not a wordy guy, Mikey. The problem is you just interject with those negative comments that really,
I'm all over the place. Yeah.
You're doing great. And I like this cut. I think it's the same cut, like we said again, that Quinn was talking about, the slash and cut, easy throw.
Exactly.
And it's the same idea. Just you don't have to go negative. Just stay engaged. It can be positive. It's beautiful.
Bing bang boom. What did you say earlier, Kins? It wasn't bing bang boom. It was
window bid.
You said that earlier too, but
ching chong bing bong. I like to make slightly racist jokes. I think it's okay because I'm Asian and it's an Asian.
Kins and I are not associated with those slightly racist.
I bet it's not okay. I bet you'll find people.
We might have to cut that.
That's all right. No,
Nah, we can let it. You know what? We can let it slide for this time.
Well, sweet.
Oh man.
The difference between I guess the way that JJ and LeBron do it on the pods on Mind the Game is it's more of an intro. This was our entire episode.
Do we want to show the? Can I share my? Can I share my screen?
I think he does the intro I feel like he just does the intro explaining some like jargon and stuff. I listened to one. I thought it was fine. Like Jarm's been raving about them. I was
I
like,
love it. Honestly, I love it.
but it's like really
It's good.
basketball-y. So I was like I like it. I like basketball, but I wasn't like, holy shit. This is like, I feel awoken.
Can you guys see this?
Certainly
You
can.
can, yeah.
That's
Can
fun.
you see it, audience?
We'll find out.
Sorry, we're good.
And now we're in a good spot. Okay.
Open side.
Pepe's break side,
Stare.
Stare.
open side, throw and go.
Quinn was staring at me get clamped by Michael Lang.
Oh, this is, I love that cut that Nut just made.
All right, let's go back.
It's like counter motion. Kins does this really well.
Yeah,
is
so
why
this is
Good.
rubber band. I'm the rubber band, and we're snapping it back here. Bing.
And look at that footwork that Nut has.
Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
really good.
This is great. I probably
Follows
shouldn't
his
be there,
throw.
but
That's okay.
that's all right. Bing again. And it's funny because we're about to turn it, but we literally are about to make a breakthrough. Like we are about to score
We are.
if we aren't clogging
Sorry, Seth.
this spot. Sorry, Seth.
Was
'cause
that
it
to
turns
Seth,
right
do you
here.
think?
No, it was to Nut.
It was
For
definitely
sure.
to Nut.
And
Yeah.
I mean, Nut's about to catch it with, acres of space. But all right. That's all I got for you.
Very good. I actually I definitely have a dark side example of them running this really well too.
Yeah.
Because I've clipped so many things from them over the years. Well, that was fun. I like. I guess give us some feedback.
I like
This
that. We'll get
definitely
better at it.
different type of episode for sure, and very visual.
Yeah, you gotta be watching this one.
All right, what else we got before we let Kins go get his nose things out of his nose?
Dude, I'm
what do
so
you got?
excited.
You got
They
what
put,
do they
like-
call it? Septoplasty.
So I got a septoplasty. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your endurance is going to be crazy good now. You can
Might be.
How
Might
was
be.
the surgery?
breathe through
Like
your
how
nose.
was
I mean,
it chill?
surgery is surgery. You go to sleep, you wake up. You're like,
Yeah, but
holy
how
shit.
was like the waking up part?
Waking up was fine. I had really bad headaches for a couple days, like crazy, like pressure headaches, like my fucking
Sinus.
my sinus was clogged, but my temples were just like feeling like they were getting like pushed in. I've like
That
never
doesn't
had
sound
headaches
fun.
that bad, honestly. It was like pretty, and you have to like mouth breathe the whole time, so it was pretty. Like
Well,
first
you do
couple
that
days,
already.
yeah.
I know.
No, but not to this extent. Like I do mouth breathe occasionally, but this extent was like wild. Like you can't even think about breathing through your nose. It was kind of those first couple days were kind of tough, but no pain besides the headaches. Just don't really feel like a human. We'll see. I'll let people know a month later if I recommend it.
Okay. Please do.
I will. I will do that.
What else we got going on before we say goodbye? T-shirts coming. I might clip this out, but you guys help me out. I wanna get these.
Yeah, they're coming at some point.
Also, stay tuned for watch party details.
Oh shit.
April 27th. Are we still on?
Oh yeah.
We're
We got
still
a couple coming up. Watch party and the Nationals.
Oh.
on. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get out of here.
All
Do
right.
it.
Peace out, everybody.
Toodles.